Guys, so for story number 5, this is actually a HackNotice story, which is pretty exciting.
Woo!
And HackNotice got an alert yesterday that Ragnarok, which is a ransomware gang, it decided to give up and change the website and leave like a public master decryptor. And it was covered by Bleeping Computer later on, and we gave them the information as to how many victims were in there. So what was your thought process about that?
All right, so here's what happened. We go through a process, and Shu can attest, where every ransomware gang that discloses, we build a scraper for them, no matter how shitty their website looking at you, Lockbit, or how few disclosures they have. And Ragnarok leak site, not to be confused with Ragnarok, not to be confused with Ragnar ransomware. We had 12 different disclosures from them. And so yesterday I was minding my own business, checking what was coming in from the hundreds of scrapers we've built. And I saw this weird thing that said decrypt. I was like, decrypt? That's weird. That's not a company. Let me figure out what this is. And I think it was decrypt/Bangkok. Don't ask me why it said Bangkok. It was just, it was. And so I go into the dark net, go through the matrix, and I go to the site. And so I remember the Ragnarok leak site was a fairly well-styled site. It looked fairly good compared to other ransomware sites. They deleted everything. They deleted all of their sites they're holding for ransom. They posted one thing called decrypt, and then you click into it, and it's just a decrypt.exe saying, put in your _ID and we'll decrypt everything. And so I started looking around. I'm like, this is weird. It looks like they gave up and they just released a universal decryptor, which has happened before. So ransomware sites sometimes give up and they sometimes release a universal decryptor. We have a theory as to why that is, and it's ransomware Batman. So there's a guy.
This has taken a distinctly Shu-like turn.
There's a guy.
It's way off more than Shu. Shu was more.
Or girl,
track.
guy or girl, who we call ransomware Batman, who is hacking into ransomware groups, releasing their decryptor, and like destroying the group, or threatening them with something horrible until they do the same. And so Ragnarok, they released a universal decryptor. We were the first to find it. No one else was talking about this. And so we were able to break the news, contact people in ransomware industry, let them media, but also our friends who helps companies with ransomware, contact people that help with ransomware issues, and let them know that there's a universal decryptor. And so we were able to break the news on Ragnarok, effectively giving up the ghost. So that was yesterday. There's a lot of fun things that happened yesterday, and then there was this. Would love to hear what people think about yet another gang giving up the ghost.
I mean, there's certainly not a pattern. I think that this one was a little bit hastier than some of the other departures we've seen. Would you characterize it that way?
It was weird. So usually when ransomware gangs give up, they have a manifesto.
They do PR.
They're like, they have a swan song of why they're leaving.
We made enough money. Here you go. Right. Joker stash quit, and it was like, we made enough money. Thank you very much for the last 8 years of service. Peace out. And there was
Yeah.
a fun little image to go with it. I mean,
Right.
the funny
Yeah.
thing about Ragnarok was it seemed like they had erased all their images, provided nothing, and just posted the keys.
This was the effective digital version of leaving the house with dinner still on the stove.
Yeah, it's weird.
They deleted everything, all styles, all CSS, any incriminating evidence. They posted a decryptor and then they ran.
Bugged out. Yeah.
So so if you look at the people they had hit up for ransom, it did include a Taiwanese company. It included several European companies. But I noted, so it's rare to see a China or Taiwan-based ransom. And my working theory was, and that was, I believe, their most recent ransom was Taiwan. And the gut reaction was the long arm of China started coming after them and they had to get out of Dodge.
We've actually talked about this, I think, like 2 Bourbon breaches ago. We see a lot of, it's not like an SEC filing. We don't know who the board of directors for Ragnarok are and how they move around. We do often see these gangs rebranding. It's like sort of a band, right? So we see some members basically splitting off and forming their own gang later. So I would caution, this is not like necessarily a thing that we can celebrate and let our guard down, because chances are pretty good some people affiliated are going to start their own thing.
I would challenge that, because when ReEvil rebranded to Dark Matter, Black Matter. No, it's a Matter.
I think it's Black Matter.
Black
Black
Matter.
Matter.
I think so.
When they rebranded to Black Matter, they did not release a universal decryptor.
Correct. Yes.
So it is something to celebrate. Whenever there is a universal decryptor, and by the way, an analyst looked at the decryptor, figured out that they were so shitty at writing code, there was a bug in their decryptor preventing the decryption.
Oh, no. Yeah, these decryptors, it's not uncommon to see all these things. Like there was one decryptor that was released. It could only, the Colonial Pipeline one. That was, you had to feed one file at a time into that decryptor. That's useless.
That's not part of the business model. That's like expecting a gunfighter to carry around a first aid kit. Like that's tertiary at best.
So you're right, Shu, that Colonial Pipeline paid, and the whole issue was the decryptor was too slow. This decryptor, I think it decrypted some files, but if it was a 64-bit file, it just fucked up some shit. And so that's the technical term. It fucked up some shit.
Yes.
32 bits of shit were fucked up. And so like the problem was that their decryptor was so hastily made that it had bugs in it. And
don't expect decryptors and encryptors to be very sophisticated software, because 100% of these things, the ransomware gang is just using a known library, implanting their software, and they're using it. This is not sophisticated software to write at all.
I feel like some emergency happens and they were forced by Ransomware Batman to make a universal decryptor, and they made it so fast that they just included some bugs. This has been an incredibly short 13-minute Bourbon and Breaches, where we talked about 3 stories and covered 1 bourbon. Thank you for your patronage, Wild Turkey. And if you enjoyed what you saw today, well, then you're probably not watching at this point.
Or Ransomware Batman.
Yeah, or your Ransomware Batman.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ransomware Batman, for all that you do. We don't deserve you. If you have a bourbon or a breach you would like us to cover, you can contact us at contact@hacknotice.com. Until next time.